Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So many a time you would have heard from finance influencers that if you go and invest 5,000 rupees monthly, just 5,000 rupees for a period of 30 years at a rate of return of 15% per year, you would have, guess how much money? 3.5 crores. You will become filthy rich. You are going to buy a Ferrari. You are going to travel to Switzerland, this, that. Unfortunately, all these returns are khayali returns simply because of the fact that the value of 3.5 crore rupees after 30 years at 7% inflation rate, which is a general rate of inflation in India, would be somewhere around 43 lakh rupees only. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this story is fairly simple because many a times we think that, you know what, making 1 crore rupee is very easy. Be it through a job, be it through a business, be it through stock investing, be it through real estate investing, be it through YouTube, this and that. So on this video, I'm going to talk about in a no nonsense format how difficult it is to make 1 crore rupee through any of these income streams. Why should you take my word? Simply because of the fact that I have made in excess of 1 crore through each of these income streams, and along the video I'm going to present the proof wherever I can. So let us kickstart our conversation and let me start sharing the reality of making 1 crore rupee. So the first most common area where people think that, you know what, if I go and invest in stock market or mutual fund market, I'm going to make 1 crore rupee easily. Can you do that? Can you not do that? For this, you need to understand a few practical points. So first and foremost, have I made more than 1 crore rupee this year by investing in stock market? Yes, I have made in excess of 1 crore rupee this year when the market was downward / moving sideways. I was able to make 1 crore rupee, and here is the screenshot. So here are a few practical points that you should know. So first and foremost, you must understand the concept of compounding. A lot of people have already explained it. So I will keep my explanation brief. So compounding in simple word means that if you have a capital of 10 lakh rupees, and if you are able to generate a 10% return, then by next year, how much this will be? This will become 11 lakh. 10 of which will be your principal amount and 1 lakh is your return. Now, if you continue to play this game of investing at 10% rate of return, then you start making money on your principal amount also, and you start making money on your total return also. So both these parts of your money start adding to your bottom line and they make you actually wealthy and rich. And therefore it is said that it is good to invest in the stock market because it generates compounded wealth. And it is absolutely true. But the extent to which people believe that their wealth will get ameliorated, so the word of the day today is ameliorated, that is ill-founded. So for that, you need to understand the concept of discount factor. This is something that I've spoken on my previous videos also, but I will do a very quick recap. Basically speaking, if you keep your money for 20 years, so let's say that you have 1 crore rupee, then divided by a factor of 4. That becomes the real value of money after 20 years in India, assuming a rate of inflation of 7%. If you extend that exercise for 30 years, then what happens? Then you have to divide it by a factor of 8. So the story that I'm trying to tell you is fairly simple, that yes, you can make a lot of money in the stock market, but you also need to consider the divisibility factor because that will help you better grasp the concept of real returns that you're making. So for that, you need to understand the concept of realistic returns that you can make. In addition to that, you also need to understand the concept of inflation adjusted returns. So let me explain both these points very quickly. Now, if you go and ask a trader, how much money are you making from your trades? They will say that, you know what, I make like 10% monthly. If you go and ask an FNO person, they will say that, you know what, I make like 50% return monthly. All those are crazy numbers. People keep on producing like weird data. If people are making 30% return, forget monthly, even on annual basis, this is the number that you will get just on a capital of 5,000 rupees. So honestly, no FNO trader, no intraday trader is making that kind of money. Now, how do I know? Because Mr. Nitin Kamath or Mr. Nikhil Kamath made this statement that almost 99% of the traders do not make even FD returns. So that begs a question that what is a realistic rate of return that a normal retail investor could make? So according to me, if you can make 15% return, that is a very good rate of return because that would give you an excess inflation adjusted return of 8%. So how is that? Let me quickly explain the math. So inflation in India is usually 7%, and if you are making a 15% return, then you are getting an inflation adjusted return of 8%. Now, what does this mean? It means that if you have a capital of 50 lakhs, then you will be able to double that capital in roughly 9 years. Now, how did I reach the number 9? That can be done by the rule of 72. Here, you simply plug in the inflation adjusted return that you are getting, and this number comes out to be 9. So in 9 years, you are able to double your money. So this hopefully helps you understand how much capital do you truly need in order to make 1 crore rupee from the stock market. So now you might say that, Akshat, you know what, this is like very depressing. I was planning on dropping off from college. The idea for me is not to be pessimistic, but to show you the reality. This is the advice that I will leave you with. Number one, please work on creating a core portfolio in stock market. As a retail investor, if you have a very good core portfolio, you can make 15 to 20% returns. If you do not trust me, ask my students, and I would seriously request them to comment below the video and also watch some of my other videos where I've explained categorically why is it that big sharks or big whales or big mutual funds are not able to make 12-13% returns, but as small investors, you are much more better equipped to beat index return. In fact, I will also put a detailed written response on the pinned comment where I will put an explanation why retail investors can make more money than mutual fund managers. There is a systemic reason behind that. But I hope you got the picture. The second key point is that you need to work on your primary skills or your primary job and increase your income potential there so that you have more capital to invest. So with this said, let us move to understanding the reality of making 1 crore through business income. Now, many of the messages that I'm getting these days is that, hey, I'm thinking about leaving my job. Should I do it? Should I start a business? I am getting a salary of 15 lakhs at my primary job, but I feel that this is very low. And if I start a business, I will be able to make 1 crore rupee income very, very easily. Okay, so I have had experience of starting multiple digital businesses that have been very, very successful. And in my life, I have built at least 5 businesses that generate more than 1 crore rupee in profits, not revenues, profits. So I can speak from first-hand experience of creating these small digital businesses. Now, this part of the conversation is strictly limited to digital businesses because this is where I specialize. I have no clue of starting physical businesses. In case you're looking to build a digital business, the first and foremost thing that you need is a website. And for that, you can take the services of Bluehost. It's a wonderful platform. It has been ranked number 1 by WordPress when it comes to hosting services. And there are 3 types of domain names that you can purchase. So for example, you might have often seen that there are companies that name their domain name as .co. Some name them as .biz. Some name them as .club. Even I was confused a little bit, so I did a little bit of digging. So very quick explanation there. The .co is used both for entrepreneurial purposes and building your personal brand and your businesses. So it's a much versatile domain name. On the flip side, if you're using the word .club, it means that you're creating a community around it. So for example, I have a YouTube member community. I can literally name it akshatyoutube.club. So let me know if you would want me to purchase that domain name and talk about some activities that I'm doing with the member community as well. The final domain name that you could purchase is .biz, and it is mostly used by businesses. It gives a very clear indication that the website that you have is a business oriented website and you are up and running as a business.
On the purchase of either a .co, .biz, .club domain, you get a Bluehost WordPress hosting and builder package plus Yoast SEO plugin free for 30 days.
So you could pick any of these business plans from Bluehost, and these are the prices that you will have to pay.
So you can pay for one domain to get the free hosting. Click on the link in the description box.
So back to the conversation about building a business. So the first and foremost thing that you must understand is that building a business is really, really tough. People, many a times they do an MBA. Why? Because I want to do a business. Therefore, doing an MBA is going to be very helpful for me. Maybe, maybe not. MBA is useful, somewhat useful, but the amount of money required to do an MBA so that you can start a business is really large and the ROI is not sufficient. So if you want to start a business, just start a business. Don't get into the race of doing an MBA. There are a bunch of online resources that you can use which cost a fraction or are absolutely free, and you will get the entire knowledge that an MBA will give absolutely free of cost. But if you don't have the time to watch all those resources, here are a couple of quick points that you need to understand that can help you make a call whether or not you are a right fit with the business. So the first and foremost point that you need to understand in order to cultivate your business is that any business would have 3 critical parts. The first part is called as the product or engineering part. For example, if you're building an app, then you need to have your product sorted, and that product should be able to add value to your customers. If your product is bad, if the product is getting extremely negative reviews, then probably you need crazy amount of PR money. One company is already doing that. You can let me know which company does a lot of PR in order to move away the negativity associated with their product. But to cut the long story short, number 1, you need to figure out the product problem and solve it. So if you come from a technical background and if you're building an app, or if you're a teacher and if you're building a course, or if you are a manufacturer and if you want to sell t-shirts online, then you must understand your product really well and the appeal of your product really well. The second part is called as distribution or marketing. Now, this part is where the problem starts because cultivating distribution or marketing is a very, very expensive affair. These days, companies pour in crazy amount of money in order to advertise their product. Take a look at any startup these days and tell me where majority of their money goes into. It goes into distribution or marketing. If you want to do your distribution or marketing for free, absolutely for free, what is it that you need to do? You need to get active on social media yourself. So start writing on LinkedIn. I have already said it multiple times through my videos that LinkedIn is a wonderful platform if you want to get the word out about your product. And then see if social media is something that you would want to devote more of your time on. Third and final part of starting a business is called as operations. Now for operations, if you are running a very complicated company, then you would need more people. You will have to hire them. You will have to train them, all that stuff. So all these three parts of the business should make sense, or you should get help along the way, or you should hire a co-founder, or you should be able to outsource one of these three functions. Only if you have sorted these three functions out, then think about starting a business. On top of this, there are certain personality traits that you need to have in order to run a business successfully. Usually speaking, and these are just general points, you must be extremely hardworking, especially at the inception stages of your business. If you have just started a company, most likely scenario is that you will be doing all the three functions together on your own, or your immediate family might be doing it. So that requires a lot of work. It puts a lot of stress on you. I have done that on every single business that I have started. I am being upfront and honest with you. A lot of people you will see in the comment box, they keep on giving me feedback that Akshat, you made this mistake, that mistake. Now imagine if I start taking everything personally, it will ruin my health. So if you are an entrepreneur, or if you want to become an entrepreneur, and if you want to start your business, taking feedback constructively, taking excess criticism, taking criticism that really hurts, become a part of your DNA. Third key final point, you need to understand yourself really well. If you know your strengths and you are willing to eliminate the weaknesses that you are not good at but are critical, then only get into entrepreneurship. Can you make 1 crore rupee through entrepreneurship? Absolutely. It is one of the highest leverage skills out there. If you can run a successful business, making 1 crore rupee from any business, no matter how small it is, it becomes easy, but it comes with its own set of challenges. Here is a snippet that I'm posting from Journal of British Research, and they have talked about personality traits that entrepreneurs have. So you could consider pausing the video and reading through it. Third, let's talk about real estate. So can you make 1 crore rupee from real estate? The answer is yes. How do I know it? Because I have made more than 1 crore rupee, in fact, much more than 1 crore rupee through real estate investing. I have not sold my real estate or any of my real estates as of now, but I have started aggregating real estate from the year 2019. So this is the fifth property that I'm purchasing now. I have already purchased 5 real estate properties and I'm working on a 6th very big project. So if I sell my earlier 5 acquired real estate assets, I would be making a lot of profit. Now, in case you want to check about my real estate, I'm linking some of my previous videos on this topic, so you can check it out. Now, in a real estate investment, you need to understand some critical points. Point number 1 is that when it comes to real estate investing, it is collateral based leverage. Now, what is collateral based leverage? This is a very interesting concept. So let me explain it by using an example. So let's say that you are buying a house. Now the cost of that house is 1 crore rupee. If you go to a bank, you might be able to get an 80% loan on that house. That house is a collateral that you are keeping with the bank in order to take that loan. Therefore, it is a collateral based leverage. The good part about real estate investing is that let's say that you are aiming to buy a 1 crore property. How much is the capital that you need? You need probably 20 lakhs of capital. And if your credit history is good, then some banks make it even just 10 lakh rupees of capital, and 90 lakhs could be borrowed or leverage. So I hope you got the perspective that with just 10 lakh or 20 lakh rupee, you can actually play with an asset which costs 1 crore rupee. Now this is both good news and bad news. Bad news why? Because if you don't understand what a good real estate is, and if you keep on buying flats in cities like Delhi or some other metro, you will take on a loan that will prove to be disastrous. For example, many a time, people, what they do is that they go to a builder, book the project in the initial stage, that we will get a very good project. Then the builder does not complete it. You keep on paying EMI and your finances are ruined. On the flip side, people do not understand their financial situations only. For example, what they do is that their salary might be 50,000. They end up taking an EMI of 35,000. Now that is really bad. You must understand the basics of real estate buying. If you don't understand it, Please don't play the leveraged finance game in anything. So now, what are some of the key points that you need to understand? So let me talk about that by helping you understand the concept of good real estate and bad real estate. Maybe I'll make a separate video on this topic altogether. But very quickly, what according to me is a good real estate? A good real estate might meet one or more of these following attributes. Number one, you can create some kind of business on that real estate. What do I mean by that? Let me explain that by picking an example of commercial real estate that I own in a tier 2, tier 3 city. So I purchased that commercial real estate. Now it is commercial. What does commercial mean? It means that some kind of business will be on that. So that real estate can be converted into a business. Now these type of properties usually are located in prime areas because that is where businesses thrive. So if you're looking to buy any kind of commercial real estate in your city, make sure that you buy it in a prime property. Now, how do you define prime property? The supply of such property should be in very limited number. For example, when people go and buy flats in a 50 mala building, is there like limited supply of such things? The answer is no, because tomorrow when the interest rate goes down, what is it that builders will do? They will go and borrow a lot of money from the bank, start a new project, and next to your building, they will tanofy another 50 mala and give you possession of that house. Now go, good luck selling it in case you want to go out. So good real estate should have some kind of business on it. That is the first key criteria. Number two, it should be in a limited supply. For example, I have 4 commercial properties and I just bought a villa in Goa, and that villa also has a running Airbnb business on it. So to cut the long story short, I do not buy any type of residential real estate. I would either buy a land or I will buy some kind of commercial property. On top of this, when you are buying real estate, you must be very clear about loan optimization and your tax optimization. Let me give you an example, and this can save you lakhs in terms of your real estate investment. So for example, many of us hire brokers at the time of buying a real estate. Now, when you are paying money or brokerage to that broker, pay that money in white, issue a receipt to a broker. That becomes your cost of acquisition for the property. So let's say that you bought a 1 crore rupee house, you pay the brokerage of 1%. So you have paid 1 lakh rupee to the broker. Now, let's say that you are able to sell that at 1.5 crore after 2 years. Now your profit is 50 lakhs, you will say. But no, your profit becomes only 49 lakhs. Why? Because you have paid 1 lakh in terms of cost of acquisition also. But to cut the long story short, if you understand the real estate game, you will be able to make a lot of money. Now comes the fourth point, that can you make 1 crore rupee from jobs? Of course you can. For example, Mr. Sundar Pichai make millions every year through his job as the CEO of Google. But traditionally speaking, if normal people like you and me want to make 1 crore rupee from our job, it is really, really tough. Number one, you need to be in a money-making industry. For example, investment banking, private equity, VC, management consulting. All these industries are good money-paying industries. So your primary job becomes to go in an industry where money is. If you're working in non-profit, they are doing wonderful work. In fact, I also started my career as a non-profit manager. But if I would have continued working in non-profit space, at least from a money perspective or monetary compensation perspective, that industry does not pay much. So your primary goal in case you want to make 1 crore rupee from job becomes that you scout for an industry where money is. Second key point, that if you're an Indian, then I would highly encourage you to go and work abroad one way or the other, because not only you make more money when you're working abroad, but when you come back to India, you end up making a lot more money. Now, why is that the case? I can't say anything. I don't know. But probably because of the fact that the recruiters start looking at you with a different lens because you have international experience. Probably your USP goes up. So from that angle, it makes sense to explore some opportunities abroad first and then come to India. Third and final point, in majority of the jobs, your credentials are extremely important, or you must become highly niche and specialized. For example, if you're doing anything business oriented, then doing an MBA from a top tier institute is going to be really useful. So understand about your industry, whether it requires an MBA or not, and then make a decision to study abroad. But on the flip side, if you are in tech, you might not even be required to do a master's degree if you have the skills and the specialization for it. So from that angle, you need to make a call, whichever sector you are in. And if you're able to climb up the corporate ladder and move outside India, then it is almost given that you will be making in excess of 1 crore rupees. Now, the fifth point is about investing in alternate asset classes. Now, if you're investing in gold and silver, are you going to make 1 crore rupee? It is extremely unlikely. You would need huge capital because the returns of gold or silver has been fairly low on real inflation adjusted basis. Yesterday I had done a video. Again, I will link it down. You can go and watch it. Second key point, what are alternate assets that I'm speaking about? So these could be upcoming career paths. Maybe it could be a blockchain developer. Maybe it could be a career on YouTube. Maybe it could be a career on TikTok. What is it that you need to understand about these alternate assets? Well, in my experience, if you want to become a YouTuber, if you want to become an Instagrammer, if you want to become a TikToker, etc., you must get early on the platform. The earlier you get, the more your success chances would be. Now, many of you would say that, Akshat, you started really late. In 2021, you started. You have grown your following a lot. Well, I can't present a roadmap, and I got a lot of love from you people. So I was just lucky, but it is not easy to grow once the market is saturated. Do I feel that the market is saturating now? Yes, I definitely do feel that the market is saturating. It is becoming more and more difficult to make money from YouTubing, Instagramming, etc. So definitely try these career paths out as a side hobby. Don't leave your primary job for trying these activities. And if you enjoy it, definitely pump it up. But the first key point that I will tell you is that try to get early on these platforms, because honestly, there will be some kind of a new platform going forward in the future. So jump on it early and it helps a lot. Second key advice that I will have regarding alternate asset is that cultivate your knowledge set. What do I mean? That, for example, when people got started on YouTube, they had to learn about how to create thumbnails. They had to learn about how to edit really well. They had to learn about how to shoot really well, how to script out. All these are things there was not much information about. So in case you are investing in these type of alternate assets, you can only make crores and crores if you are good at learning things on your own. So do cultivate your ability to self-learn, and there is no reason why you cannot make more than 1 crore rupee. So in summary, it is really, really tough to make 1 crore rupee in India, no doubt about that. But if you know what you're doing and if you're good at whatever you're doing, then you can definitely make 1 crore rupee from any of the streams that I've spoken about. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do check out the resources in the description box, and I will see you soon.